I don't know how I'm going to kind of cover this in 6 minutes, so bear with me as I do my best. I'm maybe speaking quickly. But yes, so I was really, really fortunate enough to travel out to Brazil in December. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the things I learned there, some of the lessons that the young members of the Workers' Party wanted me to take back to our members here. But first of all, there was a strong call for me to give our support and solidarity from Lula himself to his friends in England, as he said. So passing that on as a priority. So I guess I wanted to just, set the scene for anyone who isn't aware of like the history of Brazil. So in 2003, Lula was elected president of Brazil, where he was able to pass a number of policies which have just transformed the lives of working class people across Brazil. And that emotion is really felt by the young people there. And meeting with them, most notably, the thing that they talked about is the creation of universities, of housing, free education for young people, no matter their financial situation, and completely transforming their lives and how they feel, their future could pan out. And so there is such a enthusiasm and devotion to those kinds of policies. So in 2017, Lula was sentenced to 9 years in prison after being accused of corruption charges, which were later found to be false, which in turn kind of ended up with the election of the far-right president, Bolsonaro. And a kind of resentment that they are kind of fighting on the ground towards politics and towards politicians, and a distrust in kind of a wrecking behavior. And at the time of the imprisonment, Young Labour National Committee, in solidarity with Lula and the Workers' Party of Brazil, we voted to make Lula our president. So he remains to this day. So you check it out on Wikipedia, it says Lula is Young Labour UK's president. And Lula was able to smuggle a letter to us from prison, which he just remained so determined and so resolute, and it was just wonderful to be able to communicate with him at such a difficult time and offer our solidarity to their movement. So obviously it was real honor to be invited out to Sao Paulo in December to attend the Young Workers' Party Congress and the International Seminar. And the impact of Bolsonaro and the far-right government is felt immediately on the ground. Poverty is absolutely everywhere. Support services have been completely stripped back to the bare bones. There's a huge reliance on, voluntary services, which are just completely overwhelmed. There is regular police brutality, which target the poorest areas of Brazil, predominantly sees young Black boys being shot or beaten by police with no justice given. And there's, of course, a jobs crisis worsened by the pandemic, and a real kind of fear around, if you get sick, not having that job security and not having access to good healthcare. And so obviously with all of these issues and this lived experience of these conditions across Brazil, but also, the belief and the confidence in not just Lula, but the Workers' Party and their political project, the youth wing of the Workers' Party has been extremely busy building a very disciplined, a very energized movement, which is very serious about taking control of their own future and building to ensure that this never happens again. And so in the third day of my trip, I was able to attend the rally of the Youth Congress, which was absolutely electric and definitely made me think back to the rallies Jeremy held and spoke at in 2017. Rooms absolutely heaving, and people were so inspired by the work that was being done, but also Lula's words himself. And in his keynote speech, Lula said to the young workers, something that really stuck with me, which was that it is no use being rebellious in front of the computer screen. We have to know that being rebellious is taking action. It's moving, and moving is choosing people who are committed to the Brazilian people so that we can change this country. I haven't got much time left, so I'm going to kind of just skip to some lessons that the young workers wanted me to take back. And firstly was very clearly a commitment to internationalism and building this for the future. And the youth wing in particular doesn't see international socialist solidarity as some kind of afterthought or fringe issue that we often are told it is by the right of our own party. And it's so often presented as a distraction and something that working class people don't care about. But to the young workers in Brazil, it's absolutely fundamental for ensuring its future, for building that solidarity, and to ensure freedom from imperialist powers and ensure their future autonomy. I think that's a really incredible message for us, and something that we should always keep in mind as we organise to support our siblings internationally. And another thing was to focus on learning the lessons and learning about what went wrong. And I think often we do fail to talk about what went wrong for us, because when we won the leadership, which is obviously brilliant, we were very unexpected. It was very unexpected, and a lot of us were unprepared. And we focused often on one or two individual issues rather than building our broad projects. So as activists, we wouldn't always focus on building those groups locally and building those spaces where we could have those discussions. And this is something that they wanted to say was extremely important, and they were focusing on like a snowflake model of organising, ensuring that there were these groups across the country. And the young workers of Brazil take Lula's warnings very seriously. In his keynote speech, he sort of scolded some of them for skipping class. But he said very clearly, you must be ready. And they understood that as, you know, they need to be ready to build this strategic intersectional movement, which has at its core a focus on worker organising and workplace organising. And it's a very, very serious project. This is a youth wing serious about how it equips its members and how it can push back against vicious attacks, whether that be from the media or the far right or international powers. And that's definitely something I think we should take on board as we build for our future. And lastly, I think they said education is a weapon, and political education should be at the heart of all of our projects as we rebuild for the future. So when Lula was in prison, they said they were very low, but they knew they had to organise to fight back, and that is how we win. And I wanted to end with just a few words that Lula had written to us, which I think chime with where we are as the left now, and give us hope that things can turn around. And this was, I feel rejuvenated by my nomination to the honorary presidency of Young Labour. This honour proves above all that one is only old when he abandons the dreams of his youth, and I will never abandon mine. It also proves that injustice exists everywhere and that workers' struggles are the same across the world. The consequences of the rise of the far right in Brazil are felt in the flesh by our people and are being broadcast to the whole world through the images of the Amazon in flames and police helicopters firing into the poorest communities of Rio. All of this causes me immense pain, but it does not make me give up. One day, justice will be done, and I will leave prison all the more willing to fight for our dream, the one shared by young people of all ages, the creation of a better world. And of course, Lula is now free. He has a 17-point lead over Bolsonaro, looking set to win the presidency later this year. And we need to do everything we can to show our solidarity and to support this incredible political project, but also take hope that things can turn around and that we can change this if we get rebuilding.